Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy MKS here, back in another video. You might have heard me under my breath there, just saying come on YouTube, because normally it's Facebook that takes a long time to upload, but it was YouTube that was taking a while. But I'm using this Sports Direct mug now. I know many people might say it's not the most ethical company, but I didn't actually buy this mug, to be honest. It was actually given to me as a birthday gift. I think my mum must have said to someone that I drink too much tea in small mugs, and she wants me to drink in big mugs so I don't drink so many. But the only problem is by the time we get to the end of it, it's cold. But anyway, welcome to, I promise I can just keep talking about mugs or tea or whatever, but welcome to the third and penultimate part of, sorry, I don't know how I said that, I didn't mean to do that. Welcome to the third and penultimate part of me trying to speak properly. Welcome to the third and penultimate part of my plans to empower Native Americans on Wednesdays. So it's about an hour or two later than planned, but it is what it is, as they say. Hope you like it. And here you go. So these are pointers number 21 to 30 as per usual. And I've been trying to think of some ideas to cover and try. I've been thinking a lot about Italian football and Celtic, so I've been trying to avoid that for a bit and just think about Native American empowerment and get back to the topic. So anyway, here goes. So number 21, as the saying goes, 21 again, I'll pretty much always say that one, but I was thinking in this case, I'd love to find out about historical Native American poets, artists and writers, as I call them, PAW, when I put those three together, P-A-W, obviously, PAW as an acronym, excuse me, for poets, artists and writers, and to help to raise their profile basically and see what could be learned about them. And also Native Americans talk about history from their point of view, to write about history. I think I'm like writing Wednesdays, technically it's a Thursday now, but writing Wednesdays, like how they could write about history from their point of view and have their say in writing. I'd love to support them to do that. Number 22, contemporary. I'd love to celebrate historical and also contemporary writers and support contemporary writers, obviously historical writers who are no longer with us, unfortunately can't be supported now, but that's up to God, hopefully God will support. But yeah, so historical and contemporary, which I think means current, but current and future Native American writers, and how can we support and encourage more poets, artists and writers, even in the native communities all over the Americas, especially America itself, I guess, or equally, I guess. But I think it would be more of a challenge to support native Brazilians to be poets, artists and writers, but I certainly hope to give it a go and work with others. So I suppose you could say past, present and future. Number 21 being 21 again, look at the past, and 22 being the present and the future. So contemporary, current and future poets, artists and writers from native communities across the Americas. Let's say number 22 again then, but number 23, I'd love to look into ways to support them, fundraise for them and that kind of thing. So looking at what companies and organizations could help them, what publishers maybe could help to publish their works, what auctioneers, auction companies could help to auction their works, or sellers to help, sellers to help to sell their work, or sailors as well, sorry. But people who might be able to help them to sell their work around, maybe even around the world, especially in America itself, for instance, but wherever they can, basically, when and wherever they can. I suppose being online now, you can probably sell it all over the world. It might be easier to sell it more locally, or at least nationally, rather than, or nationally or even locally, say. But if at all possible, selling their poetry, art and writing and that kind of thing all over the world, and maybe look at ways for people to support them, to help to ensure their profits from their poetry, art and struggle writing goes to benefit their communities from their works, and also in business and things like that. Mainly I want to think of like poetry, art, writing and works generally, but also think about how they can work together towards a mutual success and help like women in business and things like that. Normally for business, I normally think of on Mondays, Tuesdays and Fridays, as opposed to startups on Saturdays and Sundays, as I said before. startups and SMEs on Saturdays and Sundays. But I'd like to think more about poetry, art, and writings and works generally. Yeah, how can companies and organisations and associations and whatnot, even politicians, governments and whatnot, and whoever else, how can people support them as allies or whatever? How can people help to, as I say, publish their works, their poetry and art, help with their spoken poetry, help to promote their projects and their poetry and things like that, and their ventures and adventures and that kind of thing, and how to sell their art and that kind of thing. But moving on, and how to encourage more to become poets, artists, and writers and that kind of thing. Women in business and that sort of thing. I know there's some organisations that already do that, but I wonder if there could be more who could be encouraged to do so, even in more volume, basically, and that kind of thing, and to scale their products and projects and that kind of thing. I recently heard this word scale, only probably in the last year or two, and I think scale means, if I've got it right, it means, like a lot of people when they think in life, we're taught to think small. And not to think too big and like we're taught to get your head out of the clouds or whatever. But I think scale, if I'm not mistaken, means like going global, for instance, or like so. Let's say you have a burger van or whatever, or even let's say an ice cream shop or an ice cream van. If you could hire other people and have a fleet of ice cream vans, or get your ice cream sold in all sorts of shops. And in supermarkets, which could sell it all over a certain country or even multiple countries. So it's to take your business to the next level. So, for instance, Microsoft, I guess, scaled to make Bill Gates for a long time the richest person in the world because it was sold at a higher scale. I guess that's where the word comes from, if I'm not mistaken. Could be mistaken. So please let me know what the word scale means to you. I suppose I could Google it if I wasn't too lazy according to this video. But moving on, number 24, as I say, there's only 24 hours in a day, but I wonder if they could get global support and representation in global groups. I'm talking about seats at the UN, or at least representation, or actual people representing them on their behalf, which hopefully have their best interests at heart and listen to them. But also, I hope, as I say, not only to support Native Americans, but Native people from all over the Americas, First Nations, Native, Homogenous, Indigenous, or whatever term you want to use. I don't know what's your favourite term. I use those terms interchangeably, like First Nations, Native, Homogenous, Indigenous. I can't think of any others off the top of my head, but I'd love to know which is your favourite term, or what the difference is between those terms, or anything else you want to comment in the comments as ever. I'll take a look if my TV gets too cold. It already is a bit cold. I think that's the disadvantage of one being distracted quite easily and two drinking from bigger mugs. But anyway, I think that covers everything for point number 24. Point number 25, I love for I say Native Americans and their allies and indigenous native people from all over the Americas. I'll say not just America, but Canada, Mexico, and all over North and South America, and see what they can learn from each other, and whatever rights and support is given to one group could be for another. So like maybe more Mexican indigenous people from Mexico could be supported to have casinos or different things, different businesses or whatever. And if one group gets compensated, then maybe others could as well. So yeah, I think that would be pretty cool, I guess, to make up for history. But it'd be interesting to hear their different views on politics as well. I suppose I should have waited for point number 26, because I normally think of reparations in point number 26, but I suppose this is part of the way of reparations, and I suppose as an anti-imperialist, I'd love to support native people from all of the Americas as poets, artists and writers as a form of reparations, and basically as an anti-imperialist, and I suppose anti-imperialists would generally believe in reparations. Number 27, I hope they'll find ways to acknowledge those who support them, give awards and things like that. And I talk about the Walk and Hall of Fame, and like acknowledgements on websites, award shows, and things like that, to say like who has contributed, in this case, to native people from across the Americas, who's contributed the most to them, and that kind of thing. And also to award people who have done well from their own communities, as well as like potential allies and groups and businesses that have supported them and funded their community. Maybe those who have mentored native people from across the Americas, or at least in some parts of the Americas, or at least let's say in America or Canada or Mexico or wherever it might be, or as many countries as possible, wherever there are native people left, let's say, to become poets, artists, writers, and whatnot, who supported those either from their own community or from other communities. I hope that makes sense. Number 28, I hope they can turn negative situations into positives through things like writing as well, and getting to sell their stuff and that kind of thing, sell their wares, their works, and that kind of thing, getting poetry, art, writing, or whatever it might be. Number 29, I hope to encourage my fellow mixed race people, Anglo-Indians, to support them, for instance, and Eurasians generally, and even mixed race people generally, as they might generally call us, and many Native Americans, just like Aboriginals in Australia and Australasia generally, are mixed historically and whatnot. But I'd love to know Native Americans' views on like mixed race people, like how we can network together, collaborate, and that kind of thing. And I talked before about like the AIM, the American Indian Movement, and how it's got the initial AIM. Anglo-Indians have the initial AI, so it'd be interesting if Anglo-Indians could support their movement. It'd be quite fitting. I would like us to do that anyway, but I think it's quite fitting that it's AIM, the American Indian Movement, and AI, as in Anglo-Indians. But also I love other Eurasians like Kristangs, Hapas, Hafus, Indos, and others, whatever other mixed race groups there might be, to support them. And also other native people from like Australasia, how they can network together. And also what neurodivergent people can do to support Native American works, help to sell their art, their poetry, art, and writing, and whatnot, help to mentor them in those areas, and basically support their works. Like what are the ways neurodivergent people, integral, mixed race people, integral, other POC people of colour as well could support them. And I think that covers everything for now. And number 30, the industry white fits. Anyway. On that bombshell, I'm out. Peace and love. Probably getting way too much away.